Hello, everyone, and welcome to TextExpander 2026 From Shortcuts to Standards How Teams Are Building Consistency in an AI First World. I'm Elisa, Product Marketing Manager here at TextExpander, and I am thrilled to be your host today. We have an exciting session ahead where we'll share our product vision for 2026 and give you a taste of what we're building to help your team work more consistently, compliantly, and efficiently, all while keeping admins and curators in control. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to introduce our keynote speaker today, Anand Rajaram, our VP of Product. Anand leads product strategy at TextExpander and will be sharing how we're evolving to meet the changing needs of modern teams just like yours. Welcome, Anand.
Hey, Alyssa, it's great to be here.
So last year, we delivered features that help you find and use the right snippet faster, like the text expander icon, and that keep your team knowledge accurate and accessible, like requests and the date picker fill-in. We actually have a webinar that showcases how each of these features work, which I highly recommend you checking out if you haven't seen it already. We're going to drop a link to it in the chat so you can check it out at your convenience, or you can always visit textexpander.com/webinars at any time to watch it. And we've already hit the ground running this year. Just last month, we released an update for the TextExpander Mac and Windows app version 8.4.1, and that includes a custom format option for the date picker fill-in. So you can expand dates in the exact format you need. So make sure your app is up to date. And if you have a placeholder for the date in any of your snippets, now is the perfect time to replace it with the date picker fill-in. As we shift gears and look ahead, just a quick note that roadmap features and timelines are always subject to change. So with that in mind, I'm going to hand it over to Anand to share our vision for where we're headed next.
Thanks, Alyssa. Hello, everybody. It is so great to be here. And I'm really excited to share what we have in plans for this year. And a lot of this is based out of conversations that we have had with you over the last few weeks and months. And customer input actively shapes our roadmap. And I'm really excited to share those details. But I want to set some high level context. And when we think about TextExpander's evolution, we always start with the our core commitment. It's enabling teams with reliable productivity tools, right? We have always been about helping teams and individuals move faster, right? That's been at our core, and that will continue to be our core, right? And but as we look around, the workplace around us is changing rapidly. Obviously, a lot of us are working in distributed setups, and AI tools, they are everywhere. I joke with my team that it's so hard to keep up with the pace of change in a way that it's never been so before. And along with that, the industry landscape is changing, compliance requirements are changing, and sort of even society's approach and how society feels about these tools is also rapidly changing, right? And what that means is that the stakes to getting communication right have never been higher, right? So whether it's sending the right message to a patient, whether it's sending the right support response to a customer needing support, or whether it's a legal document, right? The stakes are have never been higher. And what we've heard from our customers is that that's where you need tools and abilities to be able to, obviously we all still want to move faster, but we want to be able to move faster without losing that consistency and control in that messaging, without sacrificing that quality. So that's a big product theme for us for this year. So consistency and control, giving administrators and curators the oversight that they need to be able to make sure that they maintain the standards of communication, and like how some of the poll results came in, making sure that we can keep those snippet libraries current and up to date and make sure that it is in fact being used. So that's a big thematic area of focus for us. So that's consistency and control. The second area of focus for us is around what we call the human AI collaboration, how we can thoughtfully use AI to augment and improve and enhance human expertise, not necessarily replacing it. And especially in a world where the stakes of communicating are high, we want to make sure that the human is in control at all times. So these are our two additional thematic focus areas in addition to productivity. So let's dive into each of this a little bit deeper, starting with consistency and control. So what do we mean here by consistency and control, right? So there is a lot of things that happen outside of the text expander library today that we want to raise the visibility and give you more control, right? So a customer service team, imagine, sends out hundreds of responses each week, and each rep may have a slightly different way of communicating a refund policy. Not ideal, right? Similarly, in a healthcare practice, you can think about how there are like six different versions of post-procedure instructions and follow-up, and obviously not ideal from a patient outcome perspective, but also not ideal from like an insurance and claim processing perspective. So there is a fairly big price and cost to inconsistent communication, right? And so this is a big pain point that we've heard from you. And what we want to provide as part of our roadmap this year is giving curators those tools so that you are able to stay on top of all the changes happening in your library. And that starts with requests, right? We do believe that the people using the snippets day in and day out, they are the closest to the action. They're the ones that will know where exactly changes are required. So we want to make sure that we give those folks a way to suggest changes, right? We want to make sure that we give them a way to be part of that solutioning and propose updates to where their workflow is being disrupted. We want to ensure that curators have the tools to review and approve those changes, and it works across all the different teams, and it takes a broader perspective in mind, right? And of course, we want to make sure that the right people have access to the right content, and as opposed to the content devolving to a wild west, as one of our customers called it. And all of this leads up to like a clear source of truth in as it relates to your organizational knowledge and communication. So this is what we mean by consistency and control. And we start with like a way by which we people can request snippets, and that's we've released a first step last year, and we have some exciting updates coming as part of requests over the course of something we're actively working on it. So would love to invite Alyssa to share what we have going.
Today, I'm excited to show you the new requests workflow and how easy it makes it for anyone to suggest a new snippet, and for assignees to review, approve, and add it to your organization's library in just a few clicks. Let's start with the requester view. I'm in the customer support snippet group where I want to have a new snippet added. I click on the request snippet button and am now in the requests workflow. First, I'll add a brief comment describing what I need, and then I'll assign it to Michael, my team lead. Adding snippet content is optional, so you have flexibility to submit a comment for a request, or you can submit a detailed request with exact snippet content. So here I have the snippet editor, and for the content type, I'm going to change it to rich text so I can include some formatting. Now I'm going to enter a fully formatted snippet right here. I can also add a label and an abbreviation. This removes all the guesswork and makes the review process much faster for everyone. So now all I need to do is click Submit Request, and my request goes directly to Michael, and I've given him everything he needs to approve it quickly. Now let's take a look at editing an existing snippet. Say I've noticed our account reset snippet needs to be updated with new link expiration timing. So I'll open our account reset snippet and click Request Change. Here in the comment box, I'll add a brief description about what needs to be updated. And again, I'll assign it to my team lead, Michael. Now here in the snippet editor, I can actually make the change I'd like to see. So I'm going to change 24 to 48 and then submit my request. It'll go directly to Michael. I can take a look at my request by clicking on the Requests button, and I get the Requests side panel here. If I click Review Requested Change, I get a clear view of what I've requested. Here, highlighted in green, you can see what I have proposed adding or changing, and here in red is the current version of the snippet that shows what I'm removing or editing. So this makes it crystal clear about the changes I'm proposing. Now let's see this from the curator's perspective. Michael receives both an in-app notification and an email alert about the new request. When Michael clicks Review Request, he can immediately see the complete snippet content formatted and ready to go. No more trying to interpret descriptions or creating content from scratch. If the snippet looks good, Michael can approve it by clicking the Accept button, and it will be added to our organization's library, ready for everyone to start expanding right away. Or he can make refinements like adjusting the language to match the team's approved style guide or tweaking the abbreviation to avoid conflicts. He can do that by clicking the Edit Before Accepting button. Alternatively, if he needs clarification or has questions about my request, he can reply to me directly right here in TextExpander. And for change requests, Michael can clearly see what's changing. He has the old content and the new suggestion side by side. Once he clicks Accept, the snippet is updated in my organization's library and it's ready to use. And that's the enhanced requests workflow. By enabling requesters to submit complete formatted snippets with labels and abbreviations, we've transformed requests from a suggestion box to a true collaboration tool. Curators spend less time creating content from descriptions and more time ensuring quality and consistency. The result is faster snippet deployment, reduced curator workload, and teams that can move faster together.
That's great. That's great. Really, really interesting to see. Hopefully, all of this is happening now within your text expander world. We've heard a lot of reports from customers about how, hey, this happens over Slack, this happens over Teams. I'm constantly getting bombarded by emails about people suggesting things, and I don't have a place that I can go manage them and address them and take care of them, right? So that's a we've taken like a first few steps towards towards addressing this problem and kind of bringing all of that within text expander. And of course, we're not stopping there. And what we wanna be offering as part of this is we want to offer governance that sort of grows with you as your organization scales and as your organization improves, enhances your use of text expander, right? So that first one is starting with that, giving very granular control over who can request, who can review, and who can approve, right? I think there's a lot of setups here. Of course, there are not all the people using the snippet library might all be part of the same organization structure. So you might want some very fine grained control in terms of like who can request and who can approve. So and we want to give you all the tools that you can specify at that level of control. So that's one. The second is we want to give a lot of flexibility in terms of how your team library is organized itself, right? So we want to give a lot of flexibility, and this is for admins and curators in terms of collecting it under snippet groups, defining permissions at the snippet group level. We have a pretty robust structure right now, but we want to improve on it in a way that scales with your organization. And finally, we want to be able to give the right access controls so that the snippet is only available to the people that can, in fact, need it and access to it, and it doesn't confuse others, or worse, it doesn't really fall in the hands of somebody that shouldn't be using it, right? So that's also an area where giving you more fine-grained access control. So you will see that thematically everywhere in terms of like better control, better access, better permissions, better grouping, and so on and so forth. So that's thematically a big area of focus for us, and building over and above what we have already for our curation and consistency and control. So this is the level of what we are thinking at. And so that was team one, consistency and control. Now let's switch gears and take a look at AI. I mean, it seems like every day there is a major new announcement between in terms of how these models are improving and how they are improving our day-to-day lives. It's a huge part of how we do our work here at TextExpander. And what we do, how we do think about it is like, we do, our philosophy is relatively straightforward. AI should definitely be a co-pilot and not just on autopilot, right? And the best productivity tools cannot replace human expertise, at least not yet. And all the more so, they are even better at enhancing human expertise and in terms of reducing repetitive work, surfacing suggestions, connecting dots that might have not been previously been obvious, and overall help people work smarter and get more done. Is how we think about AI. That's where, in our experience, AI shines, and that's what we want to bring to the product as well, and ensuring that the humans always stay in control. And in general, what we see across organizations here is that they get on TextExpander, the snippet libraries grow over time, but then as it grows over time, uh, it also becomes hard to keep up with what are all the available snippets for a given situation or for a given context, right? And I think that's where you probably heard, hopefully you heard our CEO in our AI webinar last fall, where he painted the picture about how to think about this as a flywheel, right? So you create your snippet, and the challenges for that, we view this as a flywheel where you go to retrieve your snippet, and if there is not a snippet that is available for you to use, we want to help you create that snippet. And then once you've created that snippet, that's great. Now you have a new snippet in your library, but then it doesn't stop there, right? This is typically where the flywheel might get stuck, usually, where there's a lot of snippets and you're not necessarily being able to use it, and it doesn't come about at the right time or at the right place for you. So that's an area where that's our first area of focus for AI, but we want to strengthen that retrieval step by actually helping you use that snippet, right? And this also, I think this was one of the top two in the polls, if I remember, and even in prior webinars, we hear this consistently from folks like, hey, I need a way to make better use of the snippet library that I already have, right? And so that's where our AI recommendations functionality comes in. But it doesn't stop there either. And we want to be able to then, over time, as you use the snippet, we want to be able to learn from it. And we want to be able to make sure that that snippet that you've created stays current, stays updated, and stays fresh so that it is available for you the next time you need to retrieve it. So this flywheel is how we're thinking about it, where not only we help you surface the right snippet, we also help you create it and augment it as you use the snippet over time. So our first foray into this flywheel is towards recommending and pulling up the right snippet for you at the right time. I'm really excited about it. This is definitely one of the features that continues to surprise me in terms of like, I didn't realize we had a snippet for that, right? So pretty excited about what we have in the works on this front, and would love to show off our progress on that. Alyssa?
Yes, thank you, Anand. I'm really excited to show everyone recommendations in action. So here, what we're looking at is an EHR, but this really could be anything. It could be your email, your ticketing software, your sales communication tool, wherever it is that you're working. But for today's demo, we have a pretty typical ortho follow-up for chronic low back pain. So in this scenario, I'm a clinician and I want to order a lumbar MRI for the patient. Now, the challenge is it requires prior authorization, and it can easily get held up if the documentation I submit doesn't clearly support why the MRI is needed. So I've already filled in my notes from the patient visit, and now I'm working on the plan I'm recommending. And because this order requires that prior authorization, I need to make sure that the exact wording I use here is what needs to be there, because it really does make a difference. So instead of having to stop and think about what language to use or write something from scratch, or later have someone from the billing department ask me to add specific notes later, I'm going to use a snippet from my organization's library to insert consistent payer-ready documentation directly into the plan here. Now, the great thing about recommendations is that I don't need to have the snippet abbreviation memorized. TextExpander will look at the context of what's on my screen and will automatically surface the snippet I need. So let's take a look. I've put my cursor in the plan text box, and here you can see I have the TextExpander icon. I'm going to click on the icon, and it's going to open the TextExpander window. Down here, I have a variety of recommended snippets, and you can see that they're all related to lumbar MRI, which is exactly what I'm ordering for this patient. I can hover over each of the recommended options to get a preview of the snippet, but in this case, I know I need the prior auth medical necessity snippet. So all I need to do is click on it and it expands right where my cursor was. So from there, I can go ahead and simply submit, and it should get approved because it has the specific details, wording, and information that's required for prior authorization. So this is just one example, but hopefully you can see how the impact really does compound quickly because recommendations meets you exactly where you're working, so you don't have to switch tabs, remember abbreviations, or search through your snippet library, which is especially valuable if you have hundreds or thousands of snippets in your organization's library, because AI surfaces what's relevant and then you decide what to use. And when that happens consistently across a team, it helps people work faster, stay aligned, and it also helps you scale best practices. So new team members that join your team can sound like your best performers from day one, no matter how large your library is.
That was great. That was great, and great to see a live demo come together and really prove, paint a compelling picture. Thanks, Alyssa. Now, so just kind of we looked at how AI can help us surface the snippet based on the context around the cursor, and that's great. That's definitely one important application of AI. We're also really excited about additional opportunities, and this is one of the areas where we have in our labs. It's cooking in our labs, and it's the TextExpander MCP server, right? So I wanted to spend just a couple of minutes just giving a quick overview of MCP in case folks aren't very familiar with this. MCP is a model context protocol. The best way to think about this, like think of it as like a API for these MCP agents. So if you are using an LLM like a Claude or ChatGPT or any other LLM based application, what this enables you to do is, you are able to connect the LLM to the so-called MCP servers that gives these MCPs tools to be able to go invoke. And in this case, for example, in addition to Claude being having the knowledge that Claude is available, having the knowledge that Claude has trained on being available to it, there are additional things that you can provide to Claude, right? Examples could be your local files, right? You could upload a file to Claude and that's now available for its use. You could connect external APIs or apps. You can connect like a web search engine to Claude, and you could connect your CRM to Claude and so on and so forth, right? Similarly, you can now make sure that Claude has access to your TextExpander snippet library. And this means that all the curated knowledge and content that you have available as part of your library is not just available for humans to use, it is also available for AI agents to use. And there's a variety of use cases now that this opens up, right? One use case could be like, if you have a bot in your website that answers support questions, you can expose the TextExpander library to that bot so that that bot can, in real time, use the library available to you, right? So that's one example. We have a lot of additional examples and use cases, and I would love to share one specific use case that helps us keep our library current. I want to set some context here. We are looking at a snippet that's used in a competitive battle card. It's used by sales reps and support reps when they get questions about a competitor, Acme Software. The last time the snippet was updated was January 2025, and the competitor has recently updated their pricing. Let's see how we will be able to automatically update the snippet with Claude and the TextExpander MCP functionality. Already configured Claude with the TextExpander MCP server, and I've also enabled it with web search skill. So I'm going to give this prompt to Claude and ask it to review the changes and update the snippet. So Claude's researching. You can see that it's fetching the new pricing page and it's comparing the two and it's showing us what it's finding. And what you can notice is that it's analyzed the before and the after, and it's presenting a point of view on what it needs to update. I'm going to quickly review this. This is a good example of human AI collaboration, and we want to make sure TextExpander plays well in these workflows. This all looks good to me, so I'm going to ask it to update the snippet. Okay, so Claude's updated the snippet, and it's also giving me a synopsis of what's changed. Now let's actually verify that it in fact did make the change. Let me expand the Acme battle card. And you can see that it's now updated as of February 2026, and it's also updated the pricing as well. So in this demo, we saw how you can keep your snippets current and up to date easily using an LLM and the TextExpander MCP functionality. Right. So hopefully that gave you a sense for the kind of things that's possible. In this case, Claude was able to pull together a couple of different information, publicly available information in your snippet library, and it just made it that much easier. So it took a lot of it was able to do a lot of the legwork in terms of not just the research, but also in terms of the actual updating. That's one use case. There's obviously a lot of use cases you can imagine, both in terms of creating snippets, updating snippets, and keeping snippets current and on top of any changes. Right, there are healthcare regulations change all the time. Government regulations change, policies change. So as the market and the world around you changes, this is a great way to ensure that your snippet library stays fresh. Right. So these demos and the showcased a few key aspects of what we have working and in progress. So we looked at of consistency and control and a pillar around that. We looked at request feature. We also then looked at the AI recommendations feature, surfacing what you already have, and the MCP, which is like in our labs, that enables you to make it easy to stay on top and use LLMs to maintain your snippet library. And I wanted to take a second to share our broader roadmap. I will caveat this, I'm contractually obligated to share this, that roadmaps and timelines do change. In fact, if we are doing our jobs right, it will change. So and the reason that happens is we share this with our customers in various different forums. Our customers give us feedback through our community. You can submit an idea anytime through the product. And in this fast changing world, it is our responsibility to listen to that feedback and act on it and prioritize it accordingly, right? So knowing that something that we share now is not necessarily set in stone, and it gives us broad guidance in terms of thematically what we want to approach. So I will share that caveat, and then if we can pull up the roadmap, and we think about it sort of in three pillars. What's happening now? This is stuff that we are working on right now, things that are recently shipped or things that are in early access. So the date picker recently shipped. Within our Chrome extension, we are now showing you recently accessed snippets that shipped, and the recommended snippets that we reviewed and that we just shot a demo, and requesting, suggesting, and review snippets. These are now in early access. They are available in customers' hands. Would love to get more of you on those programs. And what we're thinking about next, and the mental model for next is that, hey, we have a higher degree of confidence that this is what we're going to be working on next. We probably are shaping it, and people are working on it. That is still the actual output could still change based on customer feedback and what we learned through the process. But these are things that we are actively have thought through and are either actively working on or will soon be working on. So the permissions around requests that I talked is like in terms of the next level of governance. That's one thing. We want to bring this recommended snippets goodness from Chrome into Mac. Mac is definitely one of our most popular platforms, and we want to augment our curation abilities even more. We want to be able to help you find similar snippets, duplicated snippets, outdated snippets, and the TextExpander MCP server that we just showed. So these are sort of up next, and then later is things that they're a little bit further out in the timeline and horizon, and but these are things we've heard some signals. We are actively working with our customers to understand these better and shape these better. So snippet creation using AI. We have a whole bunch of additional things planned for snippets, the core snippet functionality, conditional snippets, a way by which creators and snippet expanders can have instructions as part of the snippet, highly detailed usage, and making the creation to curation tools easy, and of course recommendations on Windows. So this is what we have coming later, which probably means about a quarter or two out in terms of timeline. So that's our high level roadmap. Now, next later, these don't very deliberately, they don't have dates because dates are subject to change, but will give you a sense for what's top of mind for us and what we are working on. And finally, I will reiterate that customer feedback, this actively shapes our roadmap. We want to co-create solutions with you that meet your needs. So please do let us know your feedback through the app and be part of like our early access programs. I'll turn it over to Alyssa on that front.
Great. Thank you so much, Anand. All right, so before we go into Q&A, I wanted to share a couple of next steps for anyone who wants to keep the conversation going and who's excited about the roadmap that Anand just shared. So first and foremost, if you're interested in early access to any of the features that we talked about today, we're putting a link in the chat to where you can sign up for our early access program. Like Anand mentioned, we'll be rolling these features out in phases, and we really do love your feedback as we continue to shape what we build. Second, for anyone who wants to go a level deeper and explore how these new features could be customized specifically for your organization, we're offering one-on-one consultations with a TextExpander expert. So at the end of the session, there will be a quick survey where you can let us know what you're interested in and if you're interested in meeting with a member of our team. And finally, another plug for the TextExpander community. If you're not already part of the community, I really encourage you to join. It's a great place to share your use cases, learn from other teams, and stay connected with Anand and the product team. And you can visit the community anytime at community.textexpander.com. Okay, and now we have reached the point where it's time for Q&A. We've had some really great questions come in. Anand, the first one is I'm going to direct to you. And someone asked, is the content of the page being sent somewhere to make the recommendations when they're using the text expander icon and getting the recommended snippets?
Not necessarily. What we are doing is we're running a local model as that comes as part of Chrome, which is part of the reason it's available in Chrome right now. And we look at the information in the page, and we then synthesize it to a handful of questions, right? And we understand the page and then understand the context and then synthesize it to a handful of questions. And those questions is what, we ask those questions off of the text expander server, and then the snippets get generated, snippets get produced, suggested based on that. So in that sense, there is not like the content is not actively shared, but the content is used as input into what we recommend.
Great, thank you for that explanation. And the next question is somewhat related. When AI is looking to recommend the snippets, is TextExpander just looking at the actual snippet content, or does it also look at things like the labels and abbreviations when it pulls the recommendations?
Yeah, it does. It does that, and it does more. It also, part of how we've thought about it is we're vectorizing the snippets, and what that means is we are not just looking at the words, we are understanding the meaning of those words. So if there is we are able to say if somebody talks about a credit card and return and things like that, we are also able to match that to a refund, as an example, right? So we're not just looking at specifically the words credit card, and we are actually looking at the intent behind those snippets, and we are able to so in addition to actually indexing on the snippet content and other metadata, we are going above and beyond and truly bringing the power of modern day LLMs there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for explaining that. Another question that came in is related to the MCP that you shared. What AI tools will the MCP work with? Is it just Claude, or will it work with others?
Claude has been sort of in the forefront of MCP. So this is what we use every day, but there are other, I know ChatGPT as connectors offered. It might be a slightly more involved in terms of getting those set up, if you may, but if not right now, in the very near future, it should be a lot more widely available because as an industry, all the big players and the broader industry as well have sort of opened up MCP as the protocol of choice. So adoption is still restricted. Some apps do slightly better than others, but we do expect this to get very widespread really soon, and it's getting there.
Great, thank you. We've gotten a lot of questions around AI. The next question is, will the snippet data be safe when I save my card details? I'm assuming someone is asking about like their credit card details that they put in the billing information in TextExpander, and their personal details if they use AI recommendations in our AI powered features.
Yeah, there's no we're not sharing the snippet data outside. I mean, there's a couple of different layers to this. I think there is if it's in the context of MCP, this is now available to the MCP tool. We do ask you that you do not put like, passwords or highly sensitive information as part of your snippet library, not just because of, because that's just good hygiene. And we want to make sure we do ask that highly sensitive information is not stored. But having said that, within the context of recommendations, it's all within TextExpander. It is not a factor, but in the context of MCP and other things, I think you would have to make sure that that works well with your overall policy and how you use AI in a collection of AI tools. So it goes beyond just TextExpander at that point.
Perfect. Thank you for explaining that. All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit here, and we received a question related to requests. And the question is, if I submit a request, am I notified when it's complete and if it gets approved by the assignee? I'm happy to answer this question, and the answer is yes. You do get an email notification, and you also get an in-app notification similar to the one that was shown in the demo video. But you need to make sure that you have notifications turned on. So I'm actually going to drop a link to the chat in the chat to a Help Center article that we have that will walk you through step by step, making sure that you do have notifications turned on. All right. And the next question is actually someone asked about Date Picker and asked if we could quickly show how the Date Picker fill-in works. Okay, so here I am in my TextExpander desktop app, and I pulled up a snippet where I currently have a single line fill-in as a placeholder for a date. So what I'm going to do is actually just delete that. I hit the delete button, and I'm going to go to my fill-in dropdown and select Date Picker. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it appointment date, and then we have a variety of preset date formats that you can choose from, or you can make your own custom date format option. Um, like we mentioned earlier, if you're not sure how that works and you want to learn more, you can click on this question mark icon here, and it'll take you to a Learning Center article that gives you a lot more information and will tell you exactly how to set that up. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to pick January 31st, 2025 as the format and click OK. And give me a second, I'm going to pull up somewhere that I can expand the snippet and show you how it works. Okay, so I'm going to type my abbreviation. I get the fill-in window. I now have this button for appointment date. I can click to select a date. And when I click on it, I get a calendar selector. I can go back to any date, any month, any year, if I need to go back in the past, or I can go, any amount in the future. So for this demo, I'll pick March 20th. So you can see my selection here. I'm going to click expand, and then it expands with the date. So this way, I don't have to go look at a calendar in a different window. And every time I use the snippet, the date will be formatted in the way that I have selected. So great question. Very happy to show that. Okay, let's go back to the slides. Perfect. Okay. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Um, Actually, I think that we have one more question. Someone is asking about pulling if TextExpander can pull values from a list on a Google Sheet. I'm thinking that this question might be either about a Google Sheet integration or maybe about importing snippets or data from a Google Sheet. Anand, do you have any insight into that?
Um, there isn't something readily available right now. We might, but happy to follow up with Doug and just to get a better sense for where how what the core problem is and how we can improve it. Definitely worth a follow up. It's probably possible through like a JavaScript API potential, but I don't know if like a very yep check code from Google Sheets that we have right now.
Yeah, there is a way you can import into TextExpander. We actually have a Learning Center article
Right.
about that. I'm not sure if that's the question that's being asked, but um, we're happy to provide more information. The community is actually a great place to expand on your question if you're still with us. So definitely, let us know exactly what you're looking for in the community, and we'd be happy to either provide you with more information if what you're looking for does exist, or I'm sure our product team would love to learn more about what you're looking for so we can potentially build that at some point for you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And also recently now when you submit a new idea for us, you can also choose to set up a time with us to just talk through the details additionally. So it's a great way to let us know more about the context of your request. So really looking forward to those discussions.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great point, Anand. All right, we are unfortunately out of time for today, but I wanted to thank everyone so much for joining us. And Anand, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with everyone?
Yeah, thank you so much. This is great. I'm really excited to share our plans. We're building TextExpander for the long run and the long haul. We've been around as a product and a company for a long time, and that comes from listening to customers, understanding the real problems, and solving for those problems in a way that makes sense rather than just chase trends. So a lot of thought has gone into where we are now and would love to continue this discussion. And thanks to all of our attendees and customers for being a part of this journey. Please keep it coming. We truly appreciate the feedback and thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you at the next webinar.